What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to a new video, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at something a little bit different to the usual spice that I bring you. We're just going to be looking at a really solid team I've been using in the Master League Classic. Now this team took me all the way from 2350 up to where I am now, which is about 2916, so just shy of the leaderboards. So it's safe to say that this team is pretty decent. So the spiciest Pokemon I'm going to be using is the Landorus as a safe swap with Mudshot, Superpower and Stone Edge, and this is a 15, 13, 15. And this is basically how I put this team together. I really wanted to use Landorus after I see it showcased a couple of times last season. I think it was by Faux Technical and Jonkus were using it in a team with Zarude on the lead and Excadrill in the back. I don't have a good Zarude, so I was using it with Giratina. And then I swapped the Excadrill out for Ho-oh because it just wasn't very tanky. And then I ended up using Zekrom instead of Giratina, as my Giratina isn't particularly great either. So the Zekrom I'm using here is a 15, 15, 14. And that's going to have Dragon Breath, Wild Charge and Crunch. It's probably one of the coolest looking Pokemon, and it's one of my favourites outside of the Gen 1. And then we've got Ho-oh in the back as the closer, obviously a very powerful Pokemon. And Ho-oh is rife in this current meta with the amount of Zacian everywhere. He's absolutely sick of it. Look at him, he's ready to go. Let's go. Let's get them fairies out of here. So into the first battle, we got Kyogre on the lead, so very good for Zekrom, and they make a swap into Mewtwo, which isn't actually the best for this team. It doesn't deal with Mewtwo too well. Obviously we've got the super effective Crunch and the Dragon Breath's eating in, but we're not going to be able to get up to the moves quick enough. It just outpaces us. You see my opponent lags here and then suddenly they start skipping, so I have absolutely no idea whether they got those Psycho Cuts in. But we swapped into the Landorus just because we can spam moves a little bit quicker with this thing. So we get up to the Stone Edge, and this will be taking them out if they don't shield up. They do shield it up, and now we're, I think, going to let this go through. Hope that we can survive. No, we do actually call it, and it's an Ice Beam, so that would have taken us out. The Side Strike would have put us really low anyway, but we're going to go for a Superpower bait here and hope they shield this up. This is really risky, and they do actually shield it up, so it's fantastic as we're actually at another Stone Edge now. So we throw the Stone Edge and get rid of them, and that's really good for the team. We've won the alignment, and we've still got that Kyogre there, so they are able to farm us down, but I don't think they'll be able to get up to a Blizzard, so we're just going to come in and throw the Wild Charge straight away. I don't think my opponent realised how much energy we had, and then we make a quick swap into Ho-oh, and it was really good that we made that instant swap because we're just able to outpace them to the Draco Meteor. If we hadn't have made that swap, well, if we'd have made it any later than what we did, they would have got to the Draco before we got to the Earthquake. So good first battle there. The Mewtwo nearly causing a bit of trouble, but we were able to pull it through. So into the next one, we've got Melmetal on the lead. Now this is a really good lead for the Zekrom. We're obviously resisting the Thunder Shock fast move. And the Rock Slides and Superpower won't be doing too much damage to Zekrom. One Wild Charge will be doing a lot of damage to the Melmetal. So we've built up to 2 moves, as we know we can overfarm quite a lot. Surprised it didn't swap out. We throw the Wild Charge and it does a ton of damage. And now we're going to commit a shield here because obviously we've debuffed ourselves heavily. We don't want to take a lot of damage from the Superpower. They were able to get up to a second one, so luckily this won't do as much damage as the first. We win the swap at the expense of a shield, and they bring in Zarude. So this is actually pretty decent. We're going to be able to do some good chip with this Crunch, hoping to get the defense drop, and we did get the defense drop. We made an instant swap into Landorus, and that was just to preserve the Zekrom, just in case they might have like a Kyogre in the back, but it's doubtful they do have it, judging on the team. But it's always best to just try and keep some of your other Pokemon alive if you've got 2 things in the back like this, which are weak to water. So that's basically a showcase of how this team works. If we get a bad lead, we swap into Landorus. If they bring in a Kyogre, then at least we get the Kyogre out of the way. So they actually dipped out of the Zarude once we brought in our Ho-oh, and they went into a Lugia. So we're actually going to go for an Earthquake bait, which is pretty silly. Oh, it's not a bait actually, it's just because we didn't want to debuff ourselves. Because obviously if we debuffed ourselves there, and then the Sky Attack would have done a lot of damage. So instead, we just did a bit of check with the Earthquake, and now hopeful that this Brave Bird, will KO the Lugia, but it does not. But we're luckily able to just swap into the Zekrom and farm them down before they get to a move. Now the Zarude comes in and takes us out, and we're just able to outpace the Zarude to a Brave Bird, and I'm pretty sure we would have been able to tank a Dark Pulse anyway, but we're able to take the win, and that was another good battle. Into the next one against Paolo Cycling, very nice. He's got the cycling gear on as well to match, so credit to him for going for that theme. So into Ho-oh, another good lead for us here. And what we're going to do is build up to the Wild Charge, but actually throw the Crunch, just in case, because we don't want to debuff ourselves, and then they could actually take us out of a Brave Bird. It looks like they did actually sneak in and incinerate when I threw the energy, so that was really bad for us. And then they make a swap into Reshiram, which is really interesting. Something that you don't really see too much in the current meta. So we throw the Crunch as that's doing a lot of neutral damage and the defense is fallen. And we bring in the Ho-oh as we know we'll be resisting any sort of fire moves that they throw at us. So it's just Crunch that they have. They don't have any Dragon moves. I think it's the Draco Meteor that Reshiram can carry. So we build up to max energy and we throw the Brave Bird. They let it go through. Can we actually get up to another attack before the Zekrom takes us out with Dragon Breath? We were able to get to an Earthquake, so they've got to shield this up, and now they're down both shields. So we bring in the Landorus. Should be able to deal with the Zekrom here. They can't hit us with a Wild Charge. We're going to go straight for a Superpower, which is questionable. We probably should have just gone for the Stone Edge, but I think this is probably because we know we need to get to 2 moves. They're hitting us with a Wild Charge, so really risky for us not to shield that up there, but we bring in the Zekrom against the Ho-oh. We're able to get up to a Crunch, and we know that our Zekrom is healthier than theirs, so we'll be able to Dragon Breath them down. Oh no, they actually managed to Dragon Breath us down, but we're able to take them out of the Landorus. God, I got a bit too cocksure there. Not really sure how that worked out, because their Zekrom had lower CP than ours, so somehow they were able to Dragon Breath us down, even though we had more health. So into the next one, we had Garchomp on the lead, and it's a Dragon Tail Garchomp. We made an instant swap into the Landorus, obviously, because they'll be doing a lot of damage to us with the Dragon Tails, and then they're going to hit us with a Sand Tomb, which would debuff the Zekrom quite heavily. So we come in with the Landorus, went for a move, and they hit us straight with an Outrage. I thought they were going to bait us, I don't know why. So the Landorus goes down easy, and then Excadrill comes in. So not great at all for the Zekrom. So we're definitely going to shield this up, as one Drill Run will probably be taking us out. We're going to go for the Crunch, expecting that they will shield this up, as Excadrill is very, very squishy. And we get the defense drop on them, which is really crucial, because now we're going to be able to farm them down all the way with Ho-oh. Are we going to shield this one up? I think we're actually going to let it go through. It's going to do a lot of damage where it's double super effective due to the fire and flying typing of Ho-oh. But now we're loaded on energy to go against the Garchomp. So we're going to throw the Brave Bird, which unfortunately is going to debuff us and maybe will stop us getting to another move. But they have actually a Metagross in the back. So no, we are able to get up to it, as the Bullet Punch is not very effective. Still is not very effective against fire. And obviously we have the Zekrom in the back with a shield. So this is an easy GG's. Doesn't even matter if they bait us here, because I think that a Crunch will take them out, but maybe I think even Wild Charge will do more damage than a Crunch. Sometimes it's really hard to gauge what move is better to use in certain situations. Obviously, we're not getting stabbed from Crunch, even though it's super effective, but Wild Charge is a harder hitting move. So I think that in some occasions that it's actually better to go for the Wild Charge, but I'll have to look that one up. So into the next one, we had a really bad lead with Togekiss, so we made the instant swap into Landorus. They stayed in for a little bit, and then they made the swap out into Giratina, which isn't brilliant for us, but we are able to take them out with 2 Stone Edges. Seeing if we wanted to commit a shield here, we'll just get up to the Stone Edge, but they take us out with a Shadow Claw before we can get it off. So that's not great, but at least we'll be able to farm down the Giratina and then throw a potential Wild Charge against the Togekiss. And that's kind of how this team works. If you swap into Landorus and they bring in something that's quite good against it, say a Kyogre or a Giratina, you can then bring in the Zekrom and farm that Pokemon down, throw something against the Pokemon you led with. Hopefully you'll be able to get a shield out of them, and then swap it into Ho-oh like we've done with the 1 shield advantage. And they do have a Melmetal in the back, which will be doing a lot of damage to us with the Rock Slide, but luckily we can threaten them with the Earthquake, and they're not going to give up their last shield, which is basically sealed their doom, because we're definitely going to be able to take them out regardless of what happens here. A Brave Bird should just about do enough, I would have thought, from this range to KO the Togekiss, as it does do a lot of damage, and they're not going to be able to get up to another Ancient Power, and they recognise that and they let it go through. So even though we had a terrible lead there with the Togekiss, we were able to pull it out, and that was the set that got me up to Veteran, as you can see there. Got our nice little boots or whatever shoes, and we've got 2 of them. I don't know why we've got 2 of them. We haven't got 2 of them. It just comes up with that in error. So into the next one. Terrible lead for Zekrom in Dialga, so we made a swap into the Landorus. Was really surprised that they stayed in for as long as they did, which is usually a tell they don't know what to do. Really good when you swap something in and the opponent stays there for a bit in a bad matchup. It shows that you maybe got them in a weird position. So they actually brought in Zarude, so it showed they didn't know what to do. They probably triple weak to Landorus if they were willing to bring in the Zarude. But at this point, we're not going to bother committing any more shields. We're actually just going to come back in with the Zekrom, tank a move from the Zarude, farm down the whole way. Like we said, we're going to just threaten the Dialga with potential Outrage when it comes back in. But sometimes it is best to just dip straight away and save the charge move, but I think we're actually going to go for it. They actually bring in a Zacian now, so we're definitely going to go for the Wild Charge and dip out. Does an absolute ton of damage, and then we're actually going to go for the second Wild Charge and see if we can get that last 6 shield out of them. Something weird happens here, does absolutely no damage. They bring in the Dialga, and I don't know if they actually made a swap there and it just didn't register, and that was a visual glitch. I think it was. At the time, I was sure that that damage didn't register at all. They did go for a Thunder, so it's really good that we shielded that up. and then we're going to hit the back-to-back Brave Birds. Well, not back-to-back, we need to do one more Incinerate, which is the annoying thing about Ho-oh, but we're just able to get there before they've potentially got to a move. Could have been a wild charge, by that point I think even a play rough would have got us quite low, but we're able to take the win from a lost lead once again. So the team showing that it functions very well. In this battle we've got Giratina on the lead, and then made a swap into Mewtwo. So like I said before, this is probably one of the worst swaps for this team. As before, we're going to let them get a Side Strike off and then swap into Landorus. A bit questionable that we shielded up there, but obviously we wanted to keep the Zekrom healthy for the Giratina. So they hit us with a Side Strike, and as you can see, it does so much damage. Our Landorus doesn't even have the full 15 defense, so it's even more frail than usual Landorus. And we did overfarm there a lot, which really cost us. We had to use a shield, but luckily we're able to get off the Stone Edge and win the switch, but we're now 2 shields down. They take us out before we get to another Stone Edge, so we're in a really bad spot here. But I hope that the Ho-oh can really deal with whatever they've got in the back. We hit the crunch and they let it go through, so that's quite interesting. They're putting all their chips into their back Pokemon, so it'll be interesting to see what it is. They hit us with a Shadow Ball, and it's met across probably the one thing that Ho-oh is going to be able to take out with 2 shields. So we got quite lucky there, but that's just sometimes how it works out. So we're able to get up to the 2 Earthquakes, and I think we just realised we're just going to commit to the full Incinerate down. We'll be able to survive another Meteor Mash here, and then we'll have loaded energy to go against the Giratina, which I think only has a little bit of health. So really we're just trying to stall out the switch timer, because we need to just take it out with the fast moves on the Zekrom, but unfortunately they're able to take us out before we get to the Brave Bird. Are we able to Dragon Breath now down? We rage quit, as we know they're going to get to an ominous win before we get there. So really unfortunate in that battle. A couple of misplays that cost us. Using the 2 shields and going 2 shields down was a very bad call. So into the next battle, we did have Kyogre on the lead, so very good for the Zekrom, and they made a swap into Dialga, so we went straight into our Landorus. And then now, after playing this battle a few times, I realised what you need to do is, if they do shield, you need to farm up as much as possible before throwing the 2 superpowers. It's not even because of the debuff on your defense, but if you don't actually do enough attack with the mud shots, this 3rd superpower won't actually take them out. So as you see here, I think this just takes them out, does it? Yeah, so if we actually had thrown the 2nd superpower a lot earlier, or the 1st one, the mud shot damage would have been less for the rest of the time that we were in the battle, and accumulated, it wouldn't have actually done enough damage to take the Dialga out, so that's why we did what we did. And they come back in with the Kyogre now, so it's great. We actually managed to get both the shields out of them and win the switch advantage, so we're looking in a fantastic spot. We're going to take the Kyogre out with the Wild Charge, see what they got in the bag, and it's actually a Togekiss. So we're going to hit the Togekiss with a Wild Charge as well. Look at that, so much damage on the Fairy. Get out of here. Saying goodbye to one of its hardest counters, Zekrom. Beautiful Pokemon, absolutely love it. So into the next battle, let's see what we've got in the lead, and it's a Palkia. So an interesting one here. We're going to be eating into each other with the Dragon Breaths, but we will resist the Aqua Tail from them. They did make a swap into Metagross to catch this Crunch, which is really unusual. So we're going to just come in with Ho-oh now and just farm them down the whole way. It doesn't matter if they hit us with any moves, because it's not going to be doing a lot of damage. And then obviously they've got that Palkia there, so more than likely they're going to take us out when it comes back in. So we're going to go straight for the Brave Bird, just so we can threaten the shield from them. I hope that we don't see MP tie, as I think the Palkia does. We didn't go for the Brave Bird, we actually threw an Incinerate, and they got off the Aqua Tail. So we're actually going to go for an Earthquake, just so we don't debuff ourselves, and then we can threaten with another move. I think we should be just able to get up to the Brave Bird. For some reason we do another Incinerate, which is crazy risky. We don't want to use any more shields, and they could have hit another move by them. Yeah, we get to the Brave Bird, they shield it up, and then we make a swap into Zekrom to see if we can quickly get them down, but they knew better, and they swapped into Excadrill. Luckily, we were able to get off the Crunch and do a lot of damage. See, look, it's putting them well into the red. They're farming us down the whole way, which is probably the right thing to do, and we're just able to get that Incinerate in just as we brought in the Ho-oh, but we let it go anyway, so it's not going to actually register the damage, as it doesn't go through until after the move. And luckily, yeah, we've got the Landorus. They hit a drill run against the Landorus. It does absolutely nothing. They know that we've won, and they back out. Thank you, sir, for saving us some time. So into the next one, we've got Giratina Altered on the lead. So a little bit different, and actually probably not as good as the Giratina Origin. And that's just because Giratina Altered is a lot bulkier than the Origin, and it's able to spam those Dragon Claws a lot quicker. So as you can see, it's already got us into the yellow. About the same sort of time we got them down. They have to shield this up, but more than likely they're going to be able to get up to 2 Dragon Claws. I think at this point, this is one of the first times I actually faced this matchup in the lead, so I end up shielding it up. And as you can see, they do get to that 2nd Dragon Claw instantly. So we actually commit our 2nd shield now and farm them down. But we're going to make a swap into Landorus just to get up some energy. And they made a swap into their own Landorus. So that's not too bad, because we've got that out. We really don't want to see that with the Ho-oh. And now we should be able to do a lot of damage with the Stone Edge. So putting them well into the yellow, and that's really good. We're definitely going to, well, we'll have to let this go through because we've got no shield. So we let it go through, and then we're going to go for the superpower, which will be doing a nice amount of damage, even though it is resisted. As you can see, it takes them out. And then they come in with metal. So really good for us now. We're going to have to do a bit of damage with the Landorus here because it's going to get taken out with 2 rock slides is the Ho-oh. So we're going to have to do some damage, threaten this last shield. They do shield it up, which is really good. And we make an instant swap into the Zekrom because we've still got that energy loaded. Take them out with Crunch? No, we don't. So Crunch is not a very strong move. You can see there where we're not getting stabbed. The metal survives. And now what are we going to do here? We've still got the Giratina in the back with a little bit of energy. We're coming with the Landorus, and they actually decide to quit as they realise they're not going to be able to get up to the energy to take us out. So GG's to my opponent and on to the next one. So we've got Ho-oh in the lead. They swap out as it's really bad lead for them. Well, it's not terrible for them, but it's not great, and they move into Exation. So we're going to instantly swap into our Ho-oh. And obviously this is a very dodgy matchup because they might have Wild Charge, which they do. They hit us with the Wild Charge. It does a lot of damage. So we're going to shield the second one up, and we're going to go for an Earthquake here. It's always a bit of a weird matchup because you're not going to be able to farm them down, even though they've completely debuffed the defense. We don't hit any of the bubbles, not that it matters. And then they bring back in their own Ho-oh. So we're going to go for the Brave Bird here. Hoping that even though we're going to debuff ourselves, we'll be able to get up to another Brave Bird and they'll be forced to use their energy. But we quickly make a swap into Zekrom. I think we were trying to catch the Brave Bird there, but unfortunately they held on to their energy and they got off the Earthquake, so we shielded it up. And they've got the Dialga in the back, so not looking good for us at all. We're going to hit the Crunch now. I'm really hoping they think it's an outrage. They do shield it up, so that's brilliant. And we go for the Crunch again, but we should have actually gone for the Wild Charge, as it does do more damage than the Crunch in this scenario. We've got another debuff, so that's absolutely brilliant. We're bringing the Landorus, which is really questionable, as they could have gone for Draco, but they don't take us out. They've only got the Iron Head, and now they've got that Ho-oh in the back. Are they going to be able to get up to a move before we do? And we make the swap into our own Ho-oh, catch the Brave Bird, and that is going to pull off the victory for us as we're able to hit the Stone Edge and take out the flying chicken fire thing. Salamate! Anyway, into the next one. So we've got Vasquez 91 in the next battle, and it's a Giratina lead, so another decent lead for us. See if they want to swap out, and they do make a swap into Zacian. So we instantly go into the Ho-oh, and as we've seen before, this can be a really good matchup. It all depends on whether they've got that Wild Charge. We're going to go straight for an Earthquake just to threaten them, and they do let it go through. That's absolutely fine. So if they hit us with one Wild Charge, we're able to shield up the next one and farm them down, but they hit us with a close combat, so absolutely perfect. We don't need to worry about anything else they're going to throw at us, and we're going to be able to incinerate them down and have loaded energy for the Giratina that's coming in. And we're going to go for an Earthquake now because we don't want to debuff ourselves because it may stop us from being able to get off the next move. So we throw the Earthquake, and then we're going to build up to a Brave Bird, and that does force them to throw their energy. So if we'd have gone for the Brave Bird, they may have been able to just farm us down, but they get the boost. So the lucky bastards. Yeah, I had a battle where I played it so perfectly. I was just about to win. They throw an ominous wind against me, and they got the boost, and they won the game. And there's nothing worse than their opponent getting the boost. But all it did in this situation was actually give us more farm with the Zekrom. So it actually worked out perfectly for us. Weird how Pokemon Go works in them situations, but we go for the Crunch here against the next Excadrill that's come in. They use their last shield, which is absolutely perfect. We're obviously going to let this go through, and then we're just going to come in with the the Landorus, which we've got left, and they back out. So they could have had 3 shields there, and we still would have won the battle. Well, maybe not 3, maybe 2. Yeah, I think 2, and we probably still would have won. So really unfortunate for my opponent there, but into the next one we've got Zacian on the lead, and we made an instant swap into Landorus. Now I was instantly swapping when I first started using this team, but I realised obviously not all of the Zacian have play rough, so I started staying in, shielding up the first one, and that way we're able to build up a lot of energy with the Zekrom. But in this situation, we did actually swap into the Landorus, and they threw a not very effective Wild Charge, and we let it go. So it was a really good call, and it showed we didn't actually have to swap out with the Zekrom. And they brought in a Zarude, which was really interesting, because obviously Zarude is able to do super effective with the superpower, which makes me think they might have something else in the back that's weak to Landorus, and possibly a Dialga. So we're able to get both the shields out of them, and we're just going down before we can get to the final superpower, which is unfortunate. Luckily we come in with the Ho-oh, which is going to be able to farm them down, and they knew that, so they swapped out into Zacian. They're going to go for a Wild Charge, of course, here, and we're going to shield it up, and then we're going to build up a lot of energy, and it's a surprise we're staying in. I would have thought we'd have swapped out into the Zekrom, but we do stay in, and we go for Brave Bird, take them out, easy money, and then we're going to make an instant swap into the Zekrom to reset the debuff on the Ho-oh. So it's actually a metal in the back, so that's really great for us. As we've seen before, we can easily take 2 Rock Slides, probably can take a Rock Slide and a Superpower, and then hit them with the Wild Charge, and then make a really good catch into Zarude. which is okay because we're going to have to take that out anyway. So now we're going to go for another wild charge. Hope that this does a lot of damage to the Melmetal. We're in a bit of a sticky spot here because obviously if they get the 2 rock slides off against the Ho-oh, they will be taking us out. But hopefully they won't be at enough energy to get off another 2 rock slides. And we're able to get that incinerate through just as they throw. So that is really crucial. We might have been all right anyway, but that was really important, just getting that incinerate through and taking them out by the time they got to the next one. So really tight one there, but able to take the win once again right at the end. So got Yvettel on the lead for the next one. And that's really good for us as we're able to tank a Dark Pulse easy, and we're going to be able to take them out with 1 wild charge. We just go for the crunch, expecting them to shield it up because they're not going to want to waste all the energy they've just built up. So they do shield it up, it's really good for us. We let that go through and it's just a Dark Pulse. At this point, we're actually going to commit our shield as well, and we're going to farm up a lot more energy. So it's 4 snarls for the Dark Pulse. We throw on 3 just to make sure. Going for another crunch because this will be taking them out and then we won't be debuffing ourselves. And then they come in with Ho-oh, so that's really interesting, as obviously Ho-oh is not doing very effective with its fast moves. It makes me think they must have something else in the back that is weak to Zekrom, otherwise they wouldn't have come in with that. We swap into our own Ho-oh, recognising that, and they go for the Brave Bird, and they actually have Zacian in the back, so really interesting that they came in with the Ho-oh against the Zekrom. I'm assuming that they don't have Play Rough, but I don't think it really mattered in this situation. So it's great for us. We're able to do the Brave Bird and get the last shield out of them. They go for the Wild Charge and take us out, which is absolutely fine. We're now going to come in with the Landorus, and they do have Wild Charge in close combat, so they're not going to be able to do any super effective or neutral damage with us with either of their moves. So we go for the Stone Edge, taking them out where they debuff themselves, and they come in with the Ho-oh. They know that we've got a Wild Charge stored, so they back out, save us both some time, and that was an easy win for us there. GG's to my opponent. And as you can see on this run, it was just one of them where everything clicked for me. And really pushed me up the league, so I really enjoyed these series of battles. I thought I'd share them with you. Usually I'm just showing you guys a collection of clips of all the best battles that I do using particular Pokemon that are spicy, but in this one I thought I'd actually show you some concurrent battles where I absolutely smashed it. So in this one we had Melmetal on the lead, as we've seen before, is a really good lead for us. We're going to build up as much energy as possible and then get off the Wild Charge. I think at this range it was just about going to take out the Melmetal. We did get really sloppy and we let 3 Rock Slides go through, so we're down to 1 HP. And we actually just get off both moves just to make sure we can win the switch advantage here. They do shield it up, so it's really interesting. They wanted to use that last shield on winning the switch advantage, which is obviously a very hard call sometimes. And in this situation, it didn't really matter because either way, they had a Kyogre in the back. So it wouldn't have mattered what Pokemon we were going to bring in. We're going to be pretty in a bit of a rough spot. But luckily, we're able to get off a Brave Bird, which will be doing a lot of damage. And then we might be able to get up to a second one, but we do actually make the swap just so we can get rid of that debuff. And they make an instant swap into Dialga. So really interesting that they did that there. It's another one of these situations where if they didn't make that instant swap, they actually might have been fine. What we decide to do now is actually commit our shield because we're going to be able to get up to 2 moves versus the Kyogre, I think. We'll do 1 superpower, see that they're going to have to shield this up, otherwise it's going to be taken out. I'll be able to get up to the next superpower just before they take us out by waterfalls. We are. Landorus Spearing once again taking the win. This thing's crazy spammy and a lot of fun to use. And that is the last battle, as you can see. That was another 5-0, 14-1 we went. So now we're looking pretty this season, and thank you so much for checking out the video. I'll be back in the next one bringing you some spice in the new Sinnoh Cup. Until then, you stay angry, trainers.